differently abled, differently.
The Kenya Network of Women and Girls with Disabilities held a 3-day trainer of trainer workshop on leadership for girls and women with disabilities. Take a look at that story.
With the society designed to largely accommodate persons without disabilities, persons with disabilities have been left to find ways to fit in. Women and girls with disabilities face more challenges.
1, I am a woman. 2, I am a woman with disability. Disability comes second. But you find that it's like disability has been put aside. When other women are talking, they don't include women with disability. And when the policies are being made, they don't take like specific sections to talk about women with disability.
So what affects a woman without disability? It's triple for women with the disabilities. Because security-wise, we are targeted, we are more vulnerable. Economically, we are also vulnerable. And if the government is imposing taxes without considering, without exempting people with the disabilities and putting into consideration women with the disabilities, then it's like killing us alive.
We want to have cross-movement cooperation, that women's rights movement works with disability rights movement, feminist movement works with our women rights movement. So that kind of interaction gives us a stronger voice. And we also acknowledge the intergenerational gaps in this particular movement so that younger women also have a chance to thrive in issues that they care about in leadership. So this capacity is not only limited to particular people.
The Kenya Network of Women and Girls with Disabilities seek to bring these challenges on the table and finding long-term solutions.
Women with disabilities are facing specific challenges from their different counties. So because of the challenges which we were undergoing from different counties, we realized that we are all suffering in one way or another. So we decided to come together and see how we can walk this journey of disability together, because a journey of disability is a lonely journey when you're just alone. So we formed the network, which is a loose network, which brings all the 47 counties women together, and we capacitated ourselves first, and now we are enlarging the territory of the network to bring more members by training them so that they can be able to train more women at the grassroots level.
It's us to speak about our needs for people to understand how to help us. Because sometimes somebody might be willing to support the disability activity or program or a disabled person, but he doesn't or she doesn't understand what our needs are.
During their 3 days workshop, women leaders with disabilities went through training to help them train other leaders in their respective communities.
We are here as women, a network of women and girls with the disabilities, to be trained as trainer of trainees, so that we can go down and train other women and girls with disabilities.
The topics cut across board from politics, sexual reproductive health rights, employment to education.
Disability is a cross-cutting issue. As we are talking right now, 22 counties have no representation of persons with disabilities. You can think somebody in Isiolo, Wajir, Bomet, Marsabit, just to mention a few of the 22, without a representation at the county assembly. That means issues of persons with disability for the next 5 years will not be taught in that county assembly.
The government of today should be sensitive on Article 54 of our Constitution, because that is where issues pertaining people with the disability lies. And when you talk about people with the disabilities, women with the disabilities are more vulnerable than men with the disabilities.
When we look at our counties where we come from, persons with disabilities are not employed by governors. So the 5% employability for persons with disabilities in this country is still not effective. To be able to actually even talk about the finance bill and taxing of persons with disabilities. When you come down to now taxing, if you do not have a huge percentage of the population who are employed, who are you going to tax?
Sometimes when they run advertisements for employment, we are normally told that persons with disabilities are encouraged to apply. Yet again, we are told that people who should apply should be people with physical fitness. Now, as a person with a physical disability, how do you apply? Yet again, you've been reminded that it will favor those with physical fitness.
Women with disabilities are human beings like others. They are women like other women, and they also engage in sexual activities. However, when we go to hospitals, other facilities that can take care of us when we are expecting, we find a lot of challenges. You find even the beds, the equipment that are used, like the beds, they're not adjustable, they're not user-friendly for a person or for a woman with disabilities. What we are calling upon the government of Kenya, through the Ministry of Health, to have a reproductive health policy. A health policy that can have specific user-friendly provisions for us. And this health policy to be disseminated to the county. Even counties should have their health policies, that reproductive health policies that also consider our interests.
In as much as they talk about inclusivity, then they're never specific. You look at a class where they integrate kids, but then you'll find a class of one classroom with different disabilities. You wonder if this teacher actually understands sign language, he or knows how to handle a blind child, and actually it becomes difficult. Then we realize by the end of it that these kids do not even go to the next class.
Inclusion, mainstreaming, is not something that you're going to talk and talk and talk. The government at the national and the county levels must be aware that the law is applied to the latter.
The purpose is to equip women and girls with skills and also prepare them for leadership roles.
The program also looks at the intergenerational gap. So we have leaders who went ahead of us, the mentors. That's why during this training you were able to see great leaders who've been there before, like Honorable Josephine Sinyo, who was the first legislator. We had Josephta and many more who have that experience so that they can mentor the younger leaders who are coming up.
The long-term goal is to have iconic women with disabilities who have shaped narratives in Kenya and beyond.
So we want to also turn around this story and say, when you talk about women with disability leaders, which names come to mind? So we are also on a journey of documenting our leadership stories so that the stories that have not been told can be told. And as a network, we undertake this challenge to start documenting, because we don't know why those stories are not there. It can be tedious making noise year in, year out about exclusion, but you're not influencing changes. So we want to create an ecosystem that is considering leadership in entirety, whether it is in the civic space, public space, political space, and also in learning institutions, so that we also say we want to have our own Patrick Lumumbas, who are people who started in campus. We want to have our own James Orengos. Yeah, so we are keen on starting this journey of documenting our leadership stories to inspire the generations to come.
The training targeted women leaders with disabilities in 4 counties.
The Kenya Network of Women with Disabilities is currently implementing a leadership program that runs for 2 years, that is 2023 and 2024. And this program is supported by the Ford Foundation, specifically to support in ensuring that leadership spaces are inclusive of women and girls with disability. So currently the program is focusing on 4 counties. That is Mombasa County, Kisumu County, Kakamega County, and Nairobi County. But besides that, it's not just leadership targeting political leadership, but we also acknowledge that leadership is broad. There are people who focus on civic leadership and people who champion certain issues, whether it's economic justice, climate justice. So we bring in all women in their diversities.
Each county has its members who are now being trained. Now when you go back to where you came from at your county level, you are now going as a leader to train other women on how to do advocacy work, on how to handle the topic that we have been given, we have been trained here. You now carry the message, go train others.
As a network, we have more presence in these 4 counties. And then also these counties have some framework for leadership. Of course, I'm not saying other counties don't have, but there are already some existing frameworks or organizing that is happening in these counties. For example, if you are looking at leaders in learning institutions, so you realize that most of the tertiary and higher learning institutions are in these particular 4 counties. If you are the wearer of the shoe, you know where it pinches more. As a person with disability, when you sit on that decision-making table, you will be able to make things straight because you know where disability pains more.
Let's take a short breather, but we'll be right back with more. Don't go too far.
We're differently abled, differently.